Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Logan, and today we're going to be looking at the MotherWitch Oracle deck by Natasha Khan, also known as Bat for Lashes. So the back of the box reads, "From the hand of musician and artist Bat for Lashes, the MotherWitch Oracle deck acts as a tool for the creative process and also a conduit to the subconscious realms. Natasha Khan's hand-illustrated debut Oracle deck is a guide into the mysteries of our own internal landscapes and creative practices." This was made in collaboration with She's Lost Control, and it contains 40 hand-illustrated cards and an accompanying guidebook. Now, admittedly, I have only had this deck for a few days, but I was excited to do a video for it because, one, I think the illustrations are fantastic. The art is very easy to sink into without feeling overwhelmed by what's there. The guidebook is also very immersive, and I'd like to touch on that for a bit when we get to it. And thirdly, I am just the biggest fucking Bat for Lashes stan that you could possibly meet. I found her music in like 2008 or 2009. I was super into games like Oblivion, Skyrim, Dragon Age, that sort of thing. I'm still into that shit. And her music, especially on the album that I found first, Two Suns, I found the song Glass off of that album, and it just very much so gave me this like journeying Eldritch Night, Arcane Night, something like that, journeying through a mystical world. And the further I dove into her music, there was 2 albums available at the time, the more I felt like, oh my God, this person totally transports you to fantasy realms with their music. And she's just fabulously talented. And judging by interviews and things like that, she just seems like a really lovely soul as well. So yeah, when I learned that she was making an Oracle deck, I just nearly shit myself with excitement. Yeah, this is her. The guidebook does contain some beautiful photography throughout, which is no surprise to me because aside from being a phenomenal musician, Natasha Khan is also a very gifted visual artist. I'd seen various illustrations of hers throughout the years as parts of, I can't remember if she would use her illustrations for like covers for her singles or various other merchandise, but I definitely have seen her work over the years and always thought it was really enchanting and had a almost, I don't know, dark crystal adjacent, some sort of Jim Henson adjacent quality to it. So yeah, it's always drawn me in. So let's just read this first little tiny bit here in the guidebook because there is a beautiful message from the creator, but it's very long, and maybe I'll show it and just let y'all pause the video if you want to read it. So the first part reads, "Meet the MotherWitch. The MotherWitch stands as an archetype of profound feminine prowess, an embodiment of creation, healing, magic, and metamorphosis. She navigates realms both seen and unseen, weaving threads of wisdom and enchantment into the fabric of life. As a guardian of mysticism, the MotherWitch reaches beyond the boundaries of childbirth and embraces the nurturing essence of the mother, the intuitive power of the witch, and the elusive alchemy of transformation. She is a timeless presence, encompassing the diverse facets of the divine feminine and the nurturing forces that shape our existence. She is the grand mother and the overarching matron of this sacred deck." Natasha also does go on to talk a little bit about how this energy, these figures in this deck, are not exclusively available to folks who identify as female. It's something that everybody can tap into, which I really appreciate. It's also really lovely because this deck of powerful feminine forces came together while Natasha was pregnant with her daughter, pictured here, Delphi. So I think that's really cool that while her daughter was gestating, so was this other very beautiful creation of hers. So what a journey that had to have been for her. So anyway, let's get into some of the cards, and then we'll look at some of the guidebook and what I think makes it special, yeah? Okay, so it's pretty standard Oracle size, I would say. Here are the backs, very simple and straightforward. It's got I would say like a satiny matte finish, so there is a slight sheen to it. The cardstock does feel like it will hold up quite well. So our first card here, And these arrived in alphabetical order, but I could not resist using it before now. And I wasn't about to try and put it back in order, so bear with. Here we have Princess of Denial. I think it's very interesting. We have these like shots of somebody's eye, somebody's face here. There's a black void before the figure. Almost looks like roads leading out to it as they levitate. Vampire Desire. We have an apple. Many, many figures. I love the droplets dripping from the fangs from this one. We have the moon in the background. There's a bat flying here. This figure here, underneath maybe a street lamp or something, very much gives me them maybe assuming bat form through these little shapes ascending. See, like I was saying, there's a lot to unpack in each image, but I don't feel like it's overwhelming or too busy. I feel like it's the sort of density that you don't really notice until you allow yourself to kind of relax into the image. And so in that way, to me, it feels like moving deeper into and through something very lush, but not, loud or obnoxious. We have Grandmother Tree. Winged Aunties, which I think is just such a cool concept for a card. And let's read this one, because this one I actually pulled yesterday, and I thought it was really sweet. Thankfully, the guidebook is indeed in alphabetic order. Thank you, Natasha and team at She Lost Control. So Winged Aunties, we have Chosen Family, Communal Love, and Sanctuary. Actually, I said I was going to go back and let y'all pause the video and read the message from the creator if you wanted to. So hopefully this is clear. Let y'all pause on these parts here, and then we'll go back right back to that entry. Is that it? Yeah. Okay. The winged aunties stand upon a hand of giving. The universe has sent them in a prayer for those who have been shunned from their tribe, one with butterfly wings and the head of the sun, maybe I should try holding this, and one with owl feathers and an antlered moon face. Our sisters of mercy are unwaveringly here. These spiritual family members are chosen, not always by blood, but by the bonds of kindness, time spent, cycles lived together, dishes washed in silent reverence, soup made with old songs hummed, children nursled with earthy love, roofs sheltering with protection, arms open wide with acceptance. Choosing them as they choose us is a gift of humanity. And we have something called Potion. Sometimes the course of life can be altered by sheltering relationships. We may think of them as mentors, surrogate sisters, brothers, parental figures, cousins, and beloved friends. No matter what we call them, the time has come to honor those who have kept us on the right path by offering our love and acceptance to them in return. So let's look real quick to see exactly how she defines potion, ritual, oracle, things like that. Should have done this in the beginning, but sometimes you don't always think. So yeah, she says we have a description. Herein lies the manifesto of each card, the invocation of its characters, narrative layers, and symbolic energies. The use of poetic prose, almost like the lyrics to a song, invites you to experience the potent world of each drawing and to immerse yourself in its meaning. Potion. Take this potion to infuse the card's energy into your life. While not an exact interpretation, this section expands upon the messages that the card may offer you. Embrace its essence and allow it to enrich your path. Ritual/inquiry. In the heart of these cards lies a sacred offering, a ritual or inquiry designed to illuminate your connection with their energy. Open yourself up to the medicine of the cards as you take part in the ceremonial acts and creative explorations they recommend. And then lastly, Oracle. Find inspiration beyond the deck and steep yourself in the literary, cinematic, sonic, or visual oracles offered with each card. These artistic echoes have been specifically chosen to enhance your experience of the cards and to accompany you as you go deeper on your journey. What I find really cool about that, actually, I think that's what makes this guidebook so immersive and makes this deck so immersive, is because not only do we get a description that breaks down the imagery we're looking at and the overall vibe. We also get the potion, which I'm taking as how we can integrate the meaning and message of the card into our life. We get the ritual, which is some sort of like mindfulness practice. And then for Oracle, which I at first thought was like, okay, maybe this will be the more like divinatory aspect. No, way cooler than that, which I think is technically potion, as I would apply the divinatory aspect to. For Oracle, she gives us movies that embody the energy of the card, books, paintings, things like that, songs. I just think that's so cool. So ritual for this card: write a thank you letter or card to a member of your chosen family. Tell them everything they have provided you and what they mean to you. It could be as simple as the memory of a conversation, a hug, or a house you have taken sanctuary in. Life is short. Be open and honest with your love. If you are still seeking your chosen family, maybe there are community organizations, clubs, or gatherings of people who are calling you to join them. And then for Oracle, which, are other materials that we can steep ourselves in to get the gist of the card, the energy of the card. For cinematic, we have Broker by Hirokazu Korida. We have Sonic, so we have a film, and then we have 2 songs for this one. I'm Pulling Through by Billie Holiday, and then also Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. And so every single card has that much depth to it. I just think that's so cool. Like, I've never seen a guidebook that takes you and ushers you toward other media to better understand and absorb the energy of the card. I think that's so cool, and that is something I absolutely want to steal for my own projects going forward. But so that's the Winged Aunties. Hand of Self-Undoing. I'm very, very curious about this one as well, because we do have the hand reaching from here, but then this hand is disappearing here. So are these two connected? Why don't we find out? Why don't we find out? I'm not going to do this for every single one because we would be here forever. But let's just have a look. Perfectionism, isolation, inner saboteur. A woman stands alone in the twinkling dark. She is being threatened by the hand of self-undoing, which hovers above her crown chakra. She is trapped in ruminating thoughts of doubt, but her misplaced creativity has an electricity to it. A piercing bolt of light points at her head, ready to destroy her mental balance. So isolated is she in this world of self-saboteur that she cannot notice the many beautiful branches growing just outside her reach. Potion. It's time to break out of the self-imposed prison and see that life is happening all around you. Use the hand of your thoughts to push you forward, not push you down. Hands can give signals and point out pathways. Let them work for you, not against you. Redirect the traffic of your mind and consider transferring energy from the brain into the body to help yourself move forward. Ritual. Immerse yourself in a cold water shower for 1 minute daily, or safely go cold swimming for a serotonin hit. Try some automatic writing. Write out all your fears and then respond with a loving voice. I like that. That's really cool. Get a hand massage or give yourself one, focusing on the feeling and not the thoughts. Then the oracle recommendations for this one, we have a movie, Rhythms of Dance by Gabrielle Roth. We have a song, I Thought About Death, About Time by Benjamin Gustafsson. And we have a visual this time, which I'm assuming is a painting, The Hand of the Philosopher. It's an alchemical engraving. Interesting. See, I feel like there are so many layers that we're going to get to explore with this deck, because she not only gives us the mindfulness practices, but also other media to explore to better understand the cards. It's so thoughtful, and honestly, I'm not at all surprised because she's such a thoughtful creator musically. We have Garden Jester. I really love this card. I love that we have, it looks like, Datura sprouting here, maybe some hibiscus. I'm not quite sure if that's also hibiscus or something else. We have our 2 moon phases. This little crystal that very much gives me the little, what do you call it? The little green crystal that's on The Sims that hovers over your character. We have bolts with hearts leading out of here, and this like vessel that has flowers flowing out of it. I think it's really interesting. I also like that they're nude, save for their really cool hat, of course. And then all of the color backgrounds, Natasha does mention that she painted each of the backgrounds for these cards with gouache and gouache, I can never pronounce it. And also that she was inspired color-wise by the works of several other like powerful master artist women in their color palettes. So I don't know, there's just such a powerful through line and level of thought and intention that went into this entire project. We have the Supreme Mother. So interesting. There's almost like a skull or something hidden in this being behind her here. I like this sort of tiled sky with mountain range in the background. The cloak of blackness, the one breast exposed to feed the baby. I think it's really cool, really powerful, and I can't wait to read the description for each of these cards so that it's not just a matter of, oh, this is really cool, but wow, this is incredibly thoughtful. Mother Soul. Really lovely. Really nurturing, benevolent facial expression going on in the sun here. And then I like too, it's almost like we have these rays of goodness and strength and nurturing coming straight down to the wee human. We have the Suspended One, which I'm assuming if some of these do take inspiration from the major arcana. It's interesting. I will take more time later to look and see exactly what times these clocks are pointing toward, as that seems rather intentional. Again, we have hands, what looks to be, what is that, echinacea maybe? The Quest. I love this. I love this. Give me fantasy shit at all times, always, please, and thank you. I think it's really fun that the human figure looks to have like a unicorn horn going on. We have this really cool sword. She's on a steed. It's just a good time. Again, giant echinacea, I want to say. It very much gives me her song Horse and I. I mean, duh, it has a horse in it. It's not that deep, but I love that song and it does give me that. Mermaid Tempest. This is really interesting. It feels absolutely drenched with all of the rain marks that are going on back here, and also the way the figure's dress sort of melts into the water at the bottom. Sisters of the Ether. Very interesting how the water is sort of like flowing from or into her hair. It's like she's listening, she's absorbing something that has to do with all of these figures, all of these women that maybe came before. Moon in the background doing some moon shit. Spice Maiden. This one, I love this orangey color background, first of all. And then I'm also, I don't know, I love Spice Maiden for a title. I think that's great. It makes me want to pick up The Mistress of Spices by, I'm terrible with names. I can't remember the author's name. It also facially gives me a little bit of Detox from Drag Race. And then as well, with the prominent nose and the color choices and such, gives me the Gerudo people from the Legend of Zelda games. But she's absolutely fabulous. Cosmic Seed. Very interesting, sort of like, I'm not sure what exactly it is. For all I know, it could be a portal with things coming down. Very strong forces at play with these three faces, one of which is almost moon-like with the craters on it. But the overall shape also sort of gives me mushroom, which I think would convey a connectedness in itself. Here we have Fire Witch. Really love how from the cheeks up, it's just inferno. Very curious about that one as well. Desert Witch. Love the color palette, love the eye covering, love the sunglasses, and the face covering there. Love that we have these beautiful flowers. Are these poppies? Camellias? Poppies? I'm not sure. Really into it. Love their dark hair. Cup of Love. This is one of the cards that really won me over. I love the two-tone hair. I love the overall dreaminess of it. I love that their hands are basically night skies full of stars. Let's read about this one too, just because I thought the message was really lovely. Also love the purpley pink background so much. Yeah, this was one of the cards where I was just like, Am I going to love this deck enough to justify the price tag? Because if you are outside of the UK, the shipping is a little bananas. I'm sure there's a reason why, but it's a little bananas. But if you're in the UK, then, you know, good news. It's not too outrageous. All right, Cup of Love. Replenishment, self-soothing, filling the well. This oracle holds a cup of love. A heart drips into it from her throat. The water, instead of flowing out and spilling, is, in fact, flowing in, cascading in bubbles and foam. The oracle is filling her well. She's pouring life into her cosmic cup. For life to flow, for love to stay in balance, one must ensure one's own cup is full. Healthy, nourished, clear, clean, sacred, and satiated. Then one may speak and sing their truth from a place of abundance and not lack. Potion. Today, think of how you may be burning the candle at both ends, how you may be ignoring a little voice inside your head that asks you to eat better, get more sleep, call a friend for a chat, take a nap, or go see some art or nature. How can you fill your cup today without seeking that fulfillment in someone or something else? How can you soothe your spirit and be tender to your own heart? Is that not just beautiful? Okay, for the ritual, take yourself out on a solo date. Do anything let's try that again. Do anything you consider to be romantic, but do it in sweet solitude. A fancy dinner at a restaurant, a twilight walk, a luxurious afternoon soaking in a spa. Be that loving other to yourself throughout the day. Clear your workspace and buy a bunch of your favorite flowers to place there. Before you begin creating something, take time to prepare your favorite snack or a cup of tea. Light a beautiful candle or do some simple meditation. With care, your creative projects will thrive. And then for Oracle, we have Literary, Becoming the One by Shalina Ayana. We have Sonic, Infinite Love by Emile Mosiri. And then Sonic Crystal by Stevie Nicks, which I went and listened to after this and was just like, because, you know, a big Stevie Nicks fan as well. All the mystical witchy ladies, Stevie, Kate Bush, Tori Amos, you know, and definitely got the vibes from that song for this card. So yeah, really love that one. Mushroom King, I love this one as well. We have this gorgeous lion, this mushroom that the name is escaping me at the moment, but I think it's usually red and has like the little white specks on top, almost like the coarse grain salt looking. We have smaller mushrooms here, dandelion seeds flying about, starlight shining in rays. I just think it's really, really powerful and really lovely. Love her art style. We have Sea of Sorrow. This one is quite visually dark as well. The background color definitely lends a sense of heaviness and sorrow to it. I mean, you know, besides all of the eyeballs that are crying in the card. Tornado Girl. This one is very interesting, I think. We have a house that's possibly on fire. This tornado coming out of what looks to be hibiscus flowers to me. There's the titular Tornado Girl. It also very much gives me Tori Amos Boys for Pele energy. If you know, you know. It just fits with that album, I think. Here we have the Tangled Tower. We have at least one individual in a witch's hat. Tower probably overrun with, what's it called? Briars and such. Very striking color choice. Three of Witches. I love that her belly is painted. Fire coming out of the hands. Really birthing something quite interesting just on a spiritual level, like not even getting to the human birth yet. There's very interesting stuff happening. I do not know how to pronounce this. Hagazusa? I'm probably wrong. Really interesting. This skeletal figure with wings. Looks like it's floating through, I can't quite tell if this is like desolate moors. My first thought was maybe a desert because of how desolate everything is, but these trees give me more like English moor vibes. And we do have a UFO in the background, which I think is a lot of fun. And then the seed sort of doing its thing down here. I'm very curious. Knight of Shimmering Armor. I love that they're holding an entire universe in one hand, or galaxy. And then the lightness of this one step I think is really interesting. Also, I find the yellow a very interesting color choice, considering how, I don't know, in my opinion, severe the figure is. Like, there's so much shadow etched into it. Star Seance. Really liking this one thigh-high stocking moment. Oh, and also one blackened glove here. Very curious about this one as well. Divine Horizons. Love it when hair has a grudge-like life to it. Night Tusk. Very interesting. Was not expecting narwhals, nor a narwhal-esque humanoid down here swimming about. Lovely lighthouse at the top there. I love the almost scale-like light work, or line work for the moonlight in the background there. Theremin Sorceress. I think this is really fun. I'm so curious as to why there's like a diagram of a foot in the background. Natasha herself has incorporated theremins into her music, so I'm not at all surprised to find a theremin-related card. I also really like that this sorceress, I think due to the glasses or goggles or whatever's going on here, in my opinion at least, also coupled with the medical diagram, has a very like scientist vibe going on. I think that's cool. Also, if you've ever heard a theremin, it definitely, in my opinion, lends itself to like sci-fi, so going with a scientist look for the main figure I think would make sense. Here we have Stillness, which seems to be a tree growing in a bathtub. Oh, there's a, you see the human figure here? It's like a woman in profile. Oh, that's really interesting. I thought it was just, I don't know, mountains in the background or something. Really beautifully done. She's got a lot of nerve. She's got a lot of nerve making something so fantastic. Childhood. This is giving me a little bit of the, oh, what's her name? The horse great fairy from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the Zelda games. It's giving me her. Is it? No, not Marina. Melania? Maybe Melania? Really lovely. Cool little kid down here. Oh, look at the moon. And then I think the D is for her daughter, for Delphi. Delphi or Delphi? I'm not sure. Sirens of the Key. I love their little flower heads. There's an actual key. Okay, when I first saw this, I was like, a key like a, not like a bay, but you know. But no, it's an actual key. Interesting. I'm curious if there's significance to this bird up here. Knowing her, I'm assuming there is. Woodswoman Valley. This cool figure, cool hat and cool coat going off into the woods here. Witch of Friction, which is such an interesting title. I feel like the color really lends itself well to any idea of friction. It's almost irritated. It's almost, it almost gives me like the feeling of friction and irritation that you might get if you're someone who has thicker thighs, which, yeah, I know about that lately. And it's a bitch. I'm assuming this card won't be, but that in itself is a bitch. Nourishing Feast, really nice bread, some maybe apples or some other type of, yeah, that looks like an apple with the little tiny leafies on top. We have this little thing flying around, which looks jubilant and very silly in a good way. Yeah, very curious. I would say that's my feeling about the entire deck, is I'm very curious. Lady of Eros, because looking at a lot of the cards, I can get vibes, but not necessarily like, oh, well, this means this clearly. So I'm going to have so much fun working through with the guidebook, knowing that the artwork is so intentionally created. It's not just like, well, we're going to have random bullshit for no reason. But Lady of Eros, we have, looks like a leopard here, lounging figure, some gigantic strawberries, scorpions. Really like that one as well. Oyster Queen, which is, again, cool-ass title. We have this Venus comb shell, sort of acting as a hat. Some eyes on these crystals here. And then, of course, the oyster and a string of pearls, which I think is really interesting. Like, what's going on? And of course, I mean, the oyster has a giant eye. That might be noteworthy. Queen of the Harvest. This one very much gives me like Arthurian noblewoman vibes. I like that we have in the negative space here what looks to be a raven. I'm assuming a raven. The beak is pretty pronounced. And they're holding a rose. It seems like we have some cattails here. That's what you call those, right? The Tyrant. Their face is freaky. Their face is freaky. Oh, and they're holding this other figure down. Well, that's not great. I'm also curious as to what, are these like seeds with little sprouts coming out of them? I'm very curious. And we have another figure here. And this almost looks like a storm in a vessel. And they're coming out of what looks to be a teapot. So I have questions. I know they're going to be answered, so it's not like a critical I have questions. But yeah, we can't get into all that in this one video. Unio Mystica, which is definitely giving me straight up like Midnight Gospel, Adventure Time, Cosmic Owl vibes. It's not an owl, clearly, but still. I'm assuming this is a crane. By the wings, at least. Because, I mean, there are other birds that can have the long, skinny legs and a long neck and such, like flamingos, but I'm assuming this is a crane. Watch me be utterly fucking wrong. And then finally, Around the Fire, which is just looks so communal and fun. We have some snakes down here, little bonfires, figures all around of various sorts. Yeah, I think this is going to be somewhere between like a beautiful hug of a deck. I think it's going to be extremely supportive, but not in a way that, you know, is basically just letting you be lazy about your self-development. I think it's going to require some actual introspection and work. But extremely supportive and like the most esoteric woods witch type of vibe. I think there are a lot of really beautiful tales, folk and otherwise, that have been woven into a lot of these images. I believe I listened to an interview with Natasha on some podcast or other, and she talked about how the deck was influenced by tales that her father would tell her, like folk tales from Pakistan, and her mother's English, so I'm going to hazard that there's also some classic English tales as well. Yeah, I don't know. There's so much fantasy in everything that she does. I just love it. I just love it, and I'm excited for all of it. And she has a new album coming out, I want to say in the beginning of 2024. I want to say it's Dream of Delphi. And yeah, I believe she mentioned that it's kind of a companion to this deck, and that the deck is a companion to the album. So I'm very curious to see how those two things will play together. But yeah, I've been enjoying this. I've read with it 3 times now, and I just think it's going to be a really lovely companion for really introspective times where you're really in the mood to listen. This is a deck that I personally would only use 1 card at a time, because I feel like the medicines that they offer are so potent and specific that I wouldn't want to distract myself by looking at too many of the cards at once. I also feel like this is going to broaden my appreciation for a lot of different artists through the cinematic suggestions that she makes, the prescriptions, if you will, for various movies and songs, books, works of art, things like that. So yeah, I just think it's really special. I'll put a link down below where you can find the deck, and as I said, I'll also link below where you can find Natasha's music, as it is quite something. She also has a Patreon. I have not checked out her Patreon, so I couldn't tell you what's on there, but people do seem to really love it, and 2024 might be the year where I have to check out her Patreon, because I mean, I'm just such a fan of her work, and she seems like such a lovely human being. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me and checking out the MotherWitch Oracle deck by Natasha Khan, also known as Bat for Lashes. Yeah, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and until we see each other next, goodbye.